Hello.
Oh, we're here?
Yeah, we're back.
Damn, that was fast. All right, we are back. And I'm back in the real world, been traveling a little bit. Welcome to TAR Podcast number 25. This is August 3rd, Friday the 3rd. And it's been, what, 2-3 weeks since we had one?
Before the match, I think before.
I left 2.5 weeks ago, so.
Yeah, last one was before the match with John and Corey, and then we had the match, and you went on your little world tour.
World tour. Yeah, it gets old. I was driving, and 6,400 miles in 16 days.
That's crazy.
That's 400 miles a day when you're driving. Yeah, we went to the BCA Expo to start things off, which is everybody's a little hyped about how well it went. Everybody's saying that there's 25 to 30% increase in buyers and volume of business.
So that means you got some sponsors for TAR, right?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. Yeah. No.
But it's doing great.
Well, they say it's doing great. I think everything these days is knee jerk. You know, like if you have 4 flat tires in a week and then you have a week without flat tires, you think everything's great.
Yeah.
You know. So it's,
Yeah. I see what you mean.
But I think
so. It wasn't as terrible as last year, so that means it's good.
Yeah, right. Actually, it was a pretty good. I'll tell you what, the venue was great. I live in Las Vegas. I prefer to see things in Las Vegas.
Sure.
But Schaumburg Hotel, Renaissance Hotel in Schaumburg, nice hotel. But the expo was in the hotel. Mm-hmm. You literally go down the elevator, walk 200 feet, you're there. But that's because it's much smaller and it fits in places.
Sure. Yeah.
Their net space, their total space, and I don't remember the numbers as far as booths. It was like only 100 vendors, exhibitors with 300 booths or something. I don't know. 35,000 square feet.
That's not very big.
That's smaller than either one of the ballrooms at the Riviera, to put it in its perspective. It used to be 150,000 square feet.
Right.
So the industry has shrunk. There's still some issues going on with the BCA. I think they're doing some things right. I think they're doing some things wrong, but that's not a BCA bashing or whatever. Just everybody does their own thing to a degree. I just have some philosophical differences with them. I still don't think they do enough with the players. They're just getting isolated out there, and unfortunately, the few I've talked to, board members and presidents, my hammer hasn't been big enough. I need to go get a sharper, bigger hammer to get their attention.
Sharper hammer?
Yeah. Or aim at lower body parts. I've been tapping them on the head. I don't know. It's just frustrating. And, I know. So anyhow, that was interesting. Then from there, I went to the Tunica event, which was interesting. It was just like Derby City all over again. Smaller. They had about 160 in the one pocket, and then 160 in the banks, and then the one pocket, and about 135 or something in the 9-ball. Which, all in all, is not a bad turnout for the first year event. The characteristics, physical property site was the big tables, or the pro events, and the AccuStat studio and all that, and the 410 or 10-footers were all in one building. Then you had to ride a shuttle 3/4 of a mile to the amateurs and all the vendors.
The vendors weren't where the pros were?
Well, yeah, they're supposed to be where the amateurs are because that's where the bodies were, but there were more bodies on the pro side than there were in the amateur side.
Oh.
The amateur turnout was disappointing. Our event and the Napa event were because of somebody's scheduling, were simultaneous, and we both had about 45 people. Pretty weak, 90 people total. So it's growing pains. Was it a success? I can't tell you. That's a Chad discussion from Diamond. It takes hotels 2 months to figure out what the hell went on anyhow. It can be a little bit too much. You've had this, your opinion, 10-day events. You can only do so many of them.
Yeah.
It was the same people, but we did have some new winners. Justin Hall played like God.
Yeah.
I tell you,
What do you win, the banks and the one pocket?
And the all round, and he did.
Do you win the banks and the one pocket? Or?
I don't think he won them both. But he played so good.
Alex won the 9-ball.
I'll be honest with you, I was spending more time doing, and I left before it was over. I had other appointments to go do. So, anyhow, it was interesting, and but nothing of any superb excitement. The 10-footers seemed to create their own buzz. I mean, it was interesting. Anybody goes on AZ Billiards, 40% of the first 2 pages is 10-footers.
Yeah.
I played on them. I don't even play pool anymore. Am I going to run out of them? No. But I'm not going to run out on a 9-footer.
How are the pockets on it?
Pockets were, they're basically 9-foot pockets. But I think, and even I talked to Greg on a little bit, they were probably like a 16th inch shy of a standard pocket, just from the way they, so let's say 4 7/16 instead of 4 1/2. Alex ran a 5-pack, and the only reason he didn't go further is he scratched on the break. So they're not. It's not a new. This table with 4 1/8 inch pockets is tougher.
Tougher, yeah.
You know, but it's I mean it's not burnout or anything, but it's just another pool tournament. You know, the 10-foots did create some interest. Whether it's a marketable thing, I have no idea. I don't ever see tournaments on 10-footers unless you're going to do a 2-man tournament.
Sure, yeah.
Or something like that.
No, I mean, I'm glad to see, Harrah's getting on board and doing more stuff. I think that's a tough sell. Summertime, a long tournament like that.
Oh, it's summertime.
It's
Now,
tough
next
sell.
year, keep in mind, that event will be in May.
Better.
And because our event is
in
going
July.
to July, because
Right.
we're going to the Rio. And, May or July in Vegas, they're both hot. And to say, man, it's
Doesn't
too hot
matter.
down here. No, it isn't. It's 72 degrees in the room. I mean, that's just how you got to look at it.
That's true. I mean, the only thing it takes away from, every once in a while in May, you'll catch a nice May where it's cool. And you're not going to catch a nice July. But, the other half of the time, it's 102 degrees in May anyway.
Yeah.
So
what's the difference? And, we're looking really, really forward to the Rio. It's just going to be quite an upgrade. Bigger, nicer.
Oh, no. Yeah, I agree.
We got a lot of things.
Let's talk about TAR 29 we
Yeah.
got coming up.
Yeah.
It's Shane versus Dennis Orcullo. Is it Orcullo or Orcullo? I've asked Dennis like 3 times.
And you get a different answer.
Yeah.
Or Kulo is how I think, but I'm not saying that's right. I think it's
Because I asked him, God, the first way back at the Dan Tull ring game tournament, how he spells his name, with a U or an O, and he said an O.
Well, then it's probably Orcolo.
But
I've seen it, heard it. Just say Dennis.
Dennis.
Dennis the Menace. No.
Yeah.
The guy plays pretty good. It will be interesting.
And they're playing an all-around instead of just a straight, long 10-ball match, which I like. There's been a lot of action online. It seems like, guys are going both ways on it.
Well, I could see where people could pick Shane as the favorite here.
Well, I mean,
I mean, it's tough to say Dennis is an underdog in anything. I watched him play in our 10-ball, and he was playing like it was a 7-foot table.
I think you got to give Shane an edge in one pocket, especially the way he's been playing one pocket.
And he was spotting Dennis not too long ago. I heard 9-8. I don't know who won. I think they may have broke even.
But I think you got to like Shane in the one pocket. Doesn't mean Dennis can't win. And then the 8-ball's a dead even heat. And I think
you got to like Dennis on the 10-ball.
On the 10-ball, yeah.
So that's how I read it. A little sideline, and originally we were talking to Darren Appleton about doing this event first.
Yeah.
And one of my pet peeves is the politics in pool, and he got caught right up in the middle of it. And by the way, I talked to Ian Anderson on this yesterday. I will be writing my letters. Darren Appleton felt it was his place to request permission from the Euro Tour to play in our TAR 29 because one of the dates overlaps with a Euro Tour event, which is also streamed. Darren is not going to be at that Euro Tour event. He will not be playing any more of them because he's got the Mosconi Cups tied up, and so he requested from Greenlanders the permission to do that.
Who's Greenlanders?
Greenlanders is I can't tell you his title. He's on the board of the WPA, but he's also controls, him and one other person controls the Euro Tour. It's a very odd situation. It stinks of conflict across the board everywhere, but they've been doing it for years. And since the regulatory body controls the events, which also controls which players go, it's just a little messy. But Greenlanders denied Darren permission to play in our event. Now, he could have still played, but Gree is the one that determines who goes to the world tournaments from the Euro players. So he could have said, well, Darren, then you're not going to play in the world's 10-ball or world's 9-ball, which is hogwash because the promoter, he's the world champion.
Right.
He's going to be there come hell or high water. I just think it stinks that it has to go through these hoops.
Well, you got to respect.
How do we conflict with
No, I agree. It's no good.
There's 8 hours time difference.
You got to respect Darren though for not just telling the guy to go blow. I mean,
I totally agree that Darren did nothing wrong.
He honored his commitment. So
and I think it's totally
respect
right.
that. It's a shame that it didn't. I think that's. I honestly see both sides of it. I mean, I see why.
I do.
Why somebody, if they're going to go to the trouble to put on a tour, they're going to make their players commit to that tour. But
he's not,
at the same time, you got to let a guy make a living. So
well, that's what they did. They cost Darren a payday with Now let's talk reality. We start at 4 o'clock on Friday, and the only day it conflicted evidently was Friday. I'm not sure of the Euro Tour schedule. Okay, so if it's 4 o'clock here, what is it, like 8 o'clock or midnight? I don't get it. I don't even know where the hour conflict would be. But how many people do our pay-per-view?
To me, I mean, if you look at it from a bureaucracy standpoint, it's, from if it was me, I would say no too. If that was the agreement, yeah, absolutely. Because if I had a tour, if I get $1 million tomorrow and I go out and I start a pool tour, yeah, you can come play on my tour, but you bet your ass you're not going to play in anything else while my event's going on. You don't do it at the PGA. You don't do it in the NBA. You don't do it.
That's fine if you are giving the tools for somebody to make a living. But even if somebody wins one of those Euro Tour events,
well, the flip
they
side,
make $2,000
the flip side of that
like
is nobody's got a gun to their head.
Well,
I mean,
they do. Yeah, the politics have a gun to all the players from Europe because that's the only way they can qualify to get to the world arena. Remember, nobody in the U.S. really understands how this works because we're the only country that doesn't do it this way. We're the left foot in the world of
because we don't have any organization.
Well, because we don't. All the other ones are.
I mean, honestly, I would trade what Europe has right now for what we've got in a minute.
I don't know if I would.
I would in a heartbeat.
Because, but their system, the structure is there. It's just being improperly managed. They're doing it for personal gain so often. But what I do like is that they do have events. They do get government sponsorship. The money comes that's why these other countries send their players to the Worlds and everything else is because it's kind of like their Olympic funding tool. Then the U.S. doesn't recognize it. See, the U.S. feels that amateurs are amateurs and they're not supposed to get funding. And we're the only country that does that. Like Asia. If you play in an APBU event and you get so many points, and at the end of the year the top 6 players go to the Worlds, they get financial assistance to go to the Worlds. So
it's because they have an organization designed to do that.
That's correct, and the U.S. doesn't have it.
Right, exactly.
And the U.S. is the only one that doesn't have it.
Right. So whose fault is it?
Well, I don't think you can call it any person's fault. It's just that the U.S. government doesn't recognize
it's not the funding. Who cares about the government?
But these are government-sponsored organizations. They are recognized. They
recognize. Well, yeah, but the government didn't wake up one day and say we're going to start a pool thing. Pool people had to come together and create an organization and then go to the government and get funding.
I'm not sure.
And get recognized.
Because
the government doesn't just wake up and go, we've got a ministry of pool.
Yeah, wait a minute.
They have a ministry of sport, and then you have an organization that gets recognized by that ministry.
Sure, but pool isn't the only industry in this trap. Track, all Olympic sports are in this trap in the U.S. See, in those other countries, China, they fund the programs, and I'm not 100% accurate on all this. This is, but I know the concept, They have the events. They get their own ranking. They fund the players to the so they sponsor their ping pong players. The U.S. we have no ping pong association that's got government funding to send them to the Olympics. I don't think they does not recognize the Olympic structure.
And neither should they. Why should our tax money go to send somebody to the Olympics?
Well,
I disagree.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying we're the country that doesn't.
Yeah, right. I'm sure there's more than one, but. It's way off topic, but getting back to what you were talking about with Darren, I see both sides of it, and to me, the one guy I respect the most out of it is Darren, because, he made a commitment to something, he's honoring it, even though it costs him.
Well, he's
money.
Not going to the.
No, but he's not.
He's not playing. He didn't feel comfortable, and I appreciate Darren's being upfront about it and everything, and we'll get him back here.
Oh, for sure.
It's just these guys are starving. Let's not put roadblocks in their way. There are only X amount of weekends to do events. So everybody's got to understand that we're trying to be as non-offensive as possible and competition-wise and everything. So it is what it is. But anyhow, that's how TAR 29 came about with Shane. I think, even on paper, I think Darren, you could say Darren is actually a little stronger than Shane because of the 10 ball.
No.
Well, except Darren is a world 10 ball champion.
Not in this format.
Twice.
Not in this format. Well, I'm telling you.
Okay.
All right.
I know it's hard to bet against.
I'll go get my money. You go get yours.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
We can do an old school race to 100.
Isn't that what we're already doing?
Yeah, we go get an old school race to 100.
So, Anywho, that was interesting. So it'll be interesting. This is going to be a great match. A lot of people talking about it. You're right.
And, you know, I'm looking forward to it. It's one I've wanted to see for a long time. There's a story I tell all the time. I was sitting eating breakfast one morning at the old Derby, '07, I guess, with Shane, and Dennis was there. He walked in. The place was empty. Remember the old buffet, the breakfast buffet at the Executive West?
Yeah, down the corner. Yeah.
And I was just sitting, me and Shane were sitting at the table, and Dennis rolled in by himself. And
That must have been his first year there.
Yeah, he kind of grinned at Shane and said, "You want to play some?" And Shane was like, "Yeah, give me something." Yeah. And he goes, "No, I can't give you anything."
See, he got on a real sizz 6, 7, 8 years ago.
And Shane looked at him and said, 2 years, I play even. So we're a couple years overdue for that. But
well, and then another thread, which you poked your nose in, is who's got the boxy to step up and play Shane for $50,000? And they're talking one pocket, but as you rightly pointed out,
they already played a $50,000
and Shane had played a race to 21 or 25. Yeah, but it was a different game.
Yeah, just 10 ball. But, you know, my whole point was the fact that the guy's saying he thinks a $50,000 set's going to make Shane dog it for the cash. You
See, I disagree. I think
no, it's not.
Shane put on probably a gambling seminar at Tunica. Now, I didn't get to watch any of them. There was some big action. Everybody's saying, well, who's playing? Listen, it's not, that's the kind of stuff you don't put on the internet. And I'm not going to name you names, but he did play a couple of real interesting matchups.
Yeah.
And
gambling games, too,
yeah.
not stealing.
And these are pretty spicy games. One ball, one pocket for $1,000 a game.
Spotting the guy a ball.
Yeah.
A legend.
Playing, yeah. And so it was 2-1. One guy has to make 2 balls, Shane, and the other guy only has to make 1.
Right.
And he was stuck for a while, and he doubles the bet.
Yeah.
It's pretty sporty. And then he played another well-known one-pocket player.
Yeah. 1,000 a game, one ball, one pocket.
And wins 17 games.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, he hit the craps table and knocked them off. So
yeah.
Shane is a money machine right now. But,
yeah, he had a good look last week.
Yeah, more power to him. But there were some mid-speed players. 30 and there's I think a 40 score.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I don't even know what half the stuff that was going on. There was but it was I don't know. But
where were the action tables? Were they in the pro arena? Or were
no,
they
were on the amateur side. So after about midnight, that action room was real tough to get into. There was 9 of the 9-footers. See, it's really interesting. This is
nobody streamed the action room?
No.
Huh.
The interesting thing is that Derby City style events, all the action is on 9-foot tables. Now at our event, we have 7,000 pool players, and we've had one time we tried an action table for renting out. Nobody plays on 9-foot tables. But it's just a different mentality, different parts of the country, different this, different that. So.
Oh, different type events.
Yeah. So.
But. So they're going to play the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
For format is they're going to play a race to 15 8-ball on Friday night, and then they're going to play a race to 6 one pocket, which is different from the last one.
Race to 6. You went to 6.
I shortened it. Yeah.
It was
12 hours was too long.
Yeah, but a couple of those games were.
But even then, 6 is enough.
Wow, that's short.
I don't think so. A lot of races to 3 at the Derby I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
2.5 hours.
Oh, I've seen
2.5 hours. That's a normal match.
Darren's first match. The first year he was there, he had a 5.5-hour match, maybe 6 hours.
So I'm saying, if you figure a race to 3 is going to take an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, a race 4 hours is plenty. Yeah. Nobody wants to sit and watch.
I think these are going to be.
And the other thing is, perfect example. Like I replayed the 8-ball match, and I was going to get online and see if there was any interest in the one pocket, but. Because it was a good great one pocket match.
Yeah.
But who the hell can watch one pocket for 12 hours?
Well, I didn't.
You know, I mean, you can't watch that.
I was not watching much. I was really tied up that weekend because I thought I was going to have to leave town earlier. And I did get to watch the one game. I think it was at 7-7 or 6-7 or whatever. Anyhow, the game where
the best game.
They batted the one ball around for 45 minutes.
Most amazing one pocket. One of the best amazing one pocket games I've ever seen was when it was 7-6.
Yeah. And it was
Corey tied it. Yeah, that game might have been 2 hours long.
Yeah, but it was. But then towards the end, they both had shots at and missed them by diamond. You know, but it was bank shots. They never had. But no, I enjoyed that part of the game. But I understand. You know, one pocket's it takes a different mindset, which is the same
six
thing.
Six is plenty.
Listen, I trust you.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, but I mean, the 8. It was well. I mean, that night too. A lot of people were saying, you know. we lost the whole audience.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's tough, and and we have to look at it cost-wise.
yeah.
For every hour we're on, that costs X amount more of bandwidth. Pretty
Yeah.
soon our bandwidth costs more than you guys are paying for it. So
Right.
it's a tricky situation. And one pocket is, listen, I run some tournaments. One pocket gives you more grief than any game. Get a
Sure.
wedge game going, see what it does for every
Well,
match.
one
that's
thing we are
downstream.
going to do is from here on out, we're going to have a shot clock, referee. The referee is going to just basically sit there with a stopwatch and run the shot clock. And if anything comes up, the referee can come up, clean the balls, do whatever. Because honestly, after the last match with John and Corey, I could have killed one of them.
Who happens to be the finalist.
Several times over.
Who happens to be in the finals of the straight pool.
And it's just, we're never doing that again. We've every time, it's like we have alternate matches. It was like we have the Earl match, and you're on tilt. And you're like, okay, from here on out, we're just being draconian about everything.
Yeah.
And then you have a good match, and then you have like
Dennis and Deshane.
and you're back to just, what do we need the lion tamer in there.
People have got to.
And then you have Johnny and Shane, and you have Johnny and Bustamante, Boosty and Shane, and it's beautiful. It's like,
fine.
and then we have this cluster that we had last time.
See, and, it's just not right. These people don't understand the damage they do to themselves, what they do to the game, what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody understands.
Well, I tell you, I was really worked up about it, and it's something that, a long time, usually I keep quiet about this kind of stuff, but I think it says a lot about American players as a whole, as a culture, the American pool game as a culture. I'm not just singling out individual guys. I'm saying as a culture. I started looking back at every time we've ever had trouble or somebody just acting like a fool.
Yeah.
It's never been a European,
Yep.
never been a European player, never been a Filipino player. Every single time, American.
Yeah.
And it's just.
And they're the hungriest in theory because there's less going on here. Although
I don't know what it is. I just know that my answer is
no more.
We need to stop. We just need to quit putting up with it. And by putting up with, we're not paying a lot of money, but we're paying more than most other people. And if guys want to come in here and act like a jerk, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I hate it because the problem is because of behavior, and I'll use Earl as an example. I mean, we've sworn off Earl. I mean, there might be someday, some way, somehow, but
I'll never work with him again. I can't take it.
See, well,
it's not worth it.
No, I mean,
it's not
just
worth it.
Well,
if we could make 30 grand, maybe it'd be worth it to put up just to hate life for that period of time.
But if you had a third party,
but to work, but then it won't work. And the other thing is, with Earl,
well, you don't know what
he could quit.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to. Well, he did quit. He just didn't walk out the door.
Right, exactly.
When he quit.
Right. But I mean, if Earl gets it in his head that he's getting screwed over, and he's always getting screwed over, you put everything up front, and what are you going to do to the guy?
I know.
I mean, what are you going to sue him? I mean, what are you going to do?
No, I know.
So it's
I agree, and it has, but it's terrible when you get into situations because they queer their action, and then they queer our action.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be able to work with everybody and have some kind of systematic routine of players.
And the way and I've said it on more than one occasion to an American player. I said, look, man, all we ask you to do
play pool.
is come in here
play pool.
And play the game.
Do your profession.
And the thing of it is, I don't expect these guys to be quiet and sit in the corner. And no, we want to see some emotion and stuff, but it gets carried way too far. I mean, when people are threatening other guys, we can fight, or we can,
Which blew me away when you told me.
From now on, the next guy, somebody says, okay, you got to fight me first. I mean, it makes me so pissed off.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
ridiculous.
You're hard to get along with.
No, I'm the easiest guy in the world to get along with. But it makes me crazy that, we put all this effort into it,
And I'm going to agree with you. It is the state of American pool.
And here's the thing, I told these players that, and I don't think they believe me. But I said, look, we're putting up prize funds now, and we don't have a prayer of making our nut and making as much profit as the winner of the match is going to make.
Oh, no, they make no.
So
we've never made as much as the shooters make.
No.
Ever. Not even close.
So to me, and here, this goes back to something else that makes me nuts, is both players asked, how did we do in the last match with Corey and John? And I'll tell everybody, we broke dead even. Didn't make a dime, but we
not
covered
even-
the nut.
I'm not convinced we broke even.
Well, we maybe not. Actually, after we look at the bandwidth bill, we probably didn't break even. We might actually lost $1,000.
Yeah, and that's not counting the 1 month of expenses.
Right? Yeah.
You, the boot,
Yeah.
the rent, the this, that. No, so.
But just
it's a
on the
struggle,
event,
but
and
we're hanging
you know,
in
and I said we broke even, and both of them responded at the same time. Oh, that's great.
there. Yeah, well,
And I'm sitting here and I'm like,
really?
is that the business we're in? You know, I mean, is that where we're really at? To where
Well, this is a live and learn. I think this is the format we need to stick with
I agree.
because backers aren't there anymore. So most of the matches we do will be our money versus pay-per-view. Although there's a little scuttlebutt of Shane and Scott playing a match here on this table, one pocket, and they'd
Yeah.
be putting up their own money.
Yeah, that'd be
And
good.
we'll help them out. This
Sure.
is a way for them and anybody else out there.
Well, no, if
TV
it's a
land,
good match, you know,
It's a good
it's
match.
it's a way for if they
Hedge the
put.
bet a little bit.
Well, yeah, you're getting odds on the money.
Yeah, because we'll pay you, get out here,
Yeah.
we'll pay your hotel, give you a little spending money. So both guys get a little
Right.
vig, you know.
Right.
I don't know. It's and we don't need to mumble and bumble on about how sad our life is, but Tar 29's
No, that's
bright
one
spot.
of the
This
things.
is a match that's
yeah.
this is people have been waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like your poster said. Was it? It's the tournament that BCA Pool League
Yeah.
decided to sponsor Shane because
Yeah.
he was doing really well.
Yeah. And
We knew who he was, but I had never met him.
we're talking about the 2007 BCA 9-ball championships at your tournament.
Yeah, it was after I
last
bought the
year they
league.
did it, wasn't
Yes, and because Mike Davis was the
Yes.
third, came in third, and Shane
it?
beat him.
Shane and Mike played. Dennis was in the hot seat, and Shane and Mike Davis played to go to see who
Right.
would play.
And that was a fairly not real. I didn't 7-2, 7-3.
Actually, I think it started out tight, like 2-1, 1-2, something like that, and then Shane kind of pulled away and got to 7.
I know. I watched Shane
But-
make some great shots. He jumped over a ball to hit a ball to bank the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple times he jumped over a ball to hit the cue ball, hit the rail, and come in behind the ball. I mean, he was a jumping fool. But anyhow, he got his butt spanked by Mr. O'Cool.
Well, the first match that he played Mike was the first time he was ever on ESPN.
Yeah.
And then the second time he was, the next match when he played Dennis was the finals, and Dennis smoked him 7-0.
7-0.
7-0.
In fact, if you look at the poster,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see David Vandenberg. That was the guy that runs my office for me.
Yeah.
You know, there his mug is. I'm probably behind Shane and whoever's in the picture. So
And then if you look at that, I've got some really great. I was there shooting photos for Billiards Digest, and I've got some great photos of that event.
Yeah.
And that was the women's event was I believe Allison and Karen.
I don't remember. You can
think.
guess, and you're half right on that.
Right.
one.
Yeah, you got a 50% chance.
And speaking of Allison, she won another Women's Open.
Did she?
Yeah. And it
There was a women's event.
Yeah, I know. And it's I'm not talking out of school because it's published, but and the winner got $10,000. Problem being is if you don't come in first or second, the international players, women, cannot afford to come over here. It's a losing proposition.
Well,
And
I
it's a
mean,
it's a
I've-
small pool.
I
and
preach
it's-
on it endlessly. Tournaments don't make sense.
Yeah.
They do not make sense. They don't make sense for the
Financially,
players.
yeah.
They don't make sense for the sponsors. They don't make sense for the organizers. They just don't
There
make
is a
any
place
sense.
for them. There really is.
No,
But it's a
there's
sponsor.
in my
It's a-
opinion, there's a place for tournaments like, U.S. Opens, 10 ball, 9 ball. It'd be nice if there was 5 U.S. Open, U.S. Opens.
Yeah.
And
all the
then,
disciplines.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
to me, it's just because otherwise.
Well,
But I mean, tournaments. If somebody could figure out a way for a guy to have a $25,000 added tournament and show a $5,000 profit, and
yeah,
with
without
the numbers,
stone cold gambling. For
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then guess what? Hey, man, we're having them every 2 weeks.
Yeah. The real problem, and
But it's impossible.
people don't understand, is
Yeah.
first of all, nobody goes to, there's no spectators.
Yeah.
And if they do, they'll pay $10. Listen, you have to have 2,000 people to even see daylight because, there's more expense. You got to set up the tables, you got to rent this, you
All
got
the
to hire this.
expenses
you
are
gotta-
crazy.
It goes crazy.
Yeah.
But anyhow, getting on this topic of tournaments, we can talk about the straight pool that's going on a little bit. And immediately after the straight pool, and this is this is a very nice thing that Ira Lee did, and that's why Efren is here in this country, is because right after the right after the straight pool tournament. You notice I didn't say world. Right after the straight pool tournament, Efren is going to be playing Bloomdahl.
Yeah.
That's a 9-ball match and a 3-cushion match. Then he's going to be playing Raymond Kuhleman's a Bachline match.
That's
and
cool.
It's like 72-2, which is, believe it or not, it's at 72 centimeters or millimeters or something. It's the distance to the string. So there's 8 squares on the table. And you cannot make more than 2 billiards, and you have to move squares. I don't know. That's going. I don't quite comprehend that. That's got to be tough. But Efren is doing amazingly well in the straight pool. He is in the finals, playing none other than John Schmidt.
Yep.
But let's talk about straight pool for 2 seconds. And we touched on it. Why? They're playing this tournament in the heart of straight pool country.
Right.
They struggled to get 48 players. And out of that 48...
But everybody loves straight pool. It's on the internet.
Out of 48 players, there's 16 of them that if I went and practiced, I might have a chance of knocking off. That's not world class.
Dude, there's 100 people in this country that like straight pool, and every one of them posts on the internet.
I don't know. It's tough. But I will tell you one thing. It has had an effect on me, because I've been telling people how I haven't really officially announced it, but I came really close of saying that at our national event, because we do the U.S. Open 1 pocket and the U.S. Open 10 ball, we're going to the new venue. We're changing the way we're doing it. We're going to have 16 9-foot tables there, so I can have a third event. And I've been really, really leaning to doing straight pool. And after listening to the problems, and I just know that it's going to be way too much work for straight pool, I'm not doing straight pool.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But we are doing the first ever, and we own the name, U.S. Open 8-ball.
Good.
Now, I think it's a better fit for what
we're going to do it on 9-footers.
On
right?
9-footers. I'm surprised that it took me so long to figure this out. This is such a natural fit over straight pool.
Well, yeah, you
the reason
8-ball
we
nationals.
the reason we came up with straight pool because it's so similar to 1 pocket. You say, oh, they'll enhance each other. But I look at it even. I say we're going to, and this is probably the order: 1 pocket first, then the U.S. Open 10 ball, which is a points event. There's a reason here, but I have to check our calendar. And then the U.S. Open 8 ball, which is not a points event, but we're going to see if we can get some sponsorship and make it a points event. We need the 8 ball to be there when our teams are playing.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's why. It has to be at the end.
Sure. Makes sense.
It doesn't have enough time to do it. So, but I think we're starting to play games with the size of the fields. With 16 tables, I know we can go to 96 players in the 10 ball. And I'm assuming with the 8 ball we can also. The 1 pocket will never get that large, except we're going to do an all-around. That's going to make some more people play 1 pocket. Now, we only had 64 players in the 1 pocket.
But what can you add to the all-around? You have to add 5 or 10
about
grand.
5,000.
Yeah.
The way it's probably going to be, as it stands right now, it's going to be 25,000 added for the 10 ball. That's because it is a points event,
right.
BCA. And then 10 for the 8 ball and 10 for the 1 pocket, which is what it has been.
Right.
If we can get some sponsorship, because this all comes from admission fees and this and that's, which one of the benefits you're going to have this year, if you play in our tournament, is you will be able to watch all of these matches for $0.
Right. It's free. Free to get
free if you're a paying member in our tournament.
How do you track that? Wristbands?
We're gonna we have to come up with something. Tattoo on their forehead.
So what happens if somebody doesn't have the track? You'll have a gate where they can buy a ticket, or
no? There's gonna have to be some kind of process.
I'm seeing a hole in this. This plan's got something off.
Here's the problem. I want to eliminate all the costs of selling tickets, because that way I can afford.
Well, then why even say you have to be a paying member of the tournament?
Well, we're going to have VIP tickets.
Well, that's good. Yeah, well, that's what it is. But if it's going to be open, let it be open. What if a guy comes there and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm playing in a team event next week, maybe."
I don't.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Leave it open, I mean,
but
open it.
And maybe I know one thing: we're going to have the,
because otherwise you're stuck paying guys to sit there 12 hours a day.
We can't do that. And you're right, but we're not doing wristbands. We're not doing, because all those things cost money, and then you can't do that and not charge.
Right.
We have to eliminate all the income from the ticket sales and all the expenses.
Right. Exactly.
Because we're doing it through manipulating our registration fees, for lack of a better word. But we're going to be doing a lot of different things at this event. We got some really cool things, and but it's being supported by the amateurs.
Yeah.
At it's ridiculous. It's like $5. You get to watch 10 days of the best players in the world for $5. You know? If somebody wants to scream about it, I guess here's my phone number. But, you know.
Oh, they'll scream. Don't worry.
But I think this is good news for pool. The free admitting, watching all these matches. The fact that there's going to be 16 tables, no walls between the amateurs and the pros. Now that's not going to affect the amateurs. The pros, it's going to be a little noisier. I'm sorry. This library syndrome has got to go.
I agree. I agree 100%. That and you know, throwing temper tantrums when you know something doesn't go your way. I agree 100%. It's
I think I'm just looking forward to this whole real thing. I think we're going to have way more fun. You're going to be there. People that stay in the hotel, they're going to get the feeds of all these events, you know, in their rooms, you know, 24/7, and they're going to get. It's just there's lots going on. So that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah. What else we got going on?
Well, the straight pool they've had some pretty exciting matches, I think. I poked around today a little bit and watched the. I read a couple of the posts on the.
How many days was the straight pool?
5. A little insane.
Because what I was looking at, their streaming package was like $100.
$99. Don't exaggerate.
99 something. It was like it might have been like 99.95.
Still exaggerating.
Yeah, it was $100.
But that's also for both the straight pool and the.
Okay.
The
then that makes sense.
But what I've heard, you know, and I'm not trying to beat them up, but I've heard some people saying that it's not AccuStats, it's not TAR.
And how was the stream? I never did look at it.
I'm hearing it's weak.
Yeah.
Charlie is getting beat up unmercifully for not updating the brackets and the scores and everybody, and especially straight pool, because that's what they want to know. And nobody knows.
Numbers,
it's all numbers, and their numbers ain't there, and it's just. But I think what is fine. Probably
goes back to what I said though. There's 100 guys, and they all post on the internet.
And it pointed out that we can't do straight pool in the time. I'm not going to allow twice as much time for straight pool as I am for 8-ball or 10-ball, because they want to play round robin, and everybody says, well, 100 is not long enough, and I agree. But now you got to go through the round robin stage. Then you got to go through this, and they're all about this.
8-ball's way better.
But I find something extremely interesting, which I just hit on yesterday. I just said, well, how can that be? But I see a picture of Earl, and Earl was the last minute. He took Alan Hopkins' spot, who evidently Alan, once again, hasn't showed up. I hate that when he's such a talented player, or was. But he's shooting on an Olhausen table. I says, well, that's got to be last year's picture. And then Dragon puts out a promotion saying, a press release, and saying, well, we're going to raffle off the TV streaming table, the finals table and everything else. And it's an Olhausen Grand Champion 2, and blah, 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 the balls and this. Then the package is valued at $6,500. And I says, wait a minute. I saw pictures of what the pocket sizes are, and those are all gold crowns. So I posted, and lo and behold, the room has gold crowns. The TV table is Olhausen. I'm sorry, folks, but that's an extreme difference. I mean, that's really an extreme difference. Those gold crowns had close to 5-inch pockets, if not more. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
What are you going to do? I mean, I agree, but at the same time, you know, beggars can't be choosers.
I understand.
You know, it is the option. Well, we either do it this way and have a tournament, or we don't have a tournament.
Well, no, it's trying to. I mean, maybe you just have the TV table should be the same as the other tables, and say, I'm sorry, Mr. Sponsor, but if you can't have all put in 6 tables that are the same, or 10 or whatever, then we can't do it. I mean, we get chewed up, and that's why we play our all tournament with measle balls, because the measle ball is on the TV table. Mm-hmm. Derby City also doesn't. They use red circles everywhere. TV balls measle. Yeah. But they have the heat from the AccuStats table, so that table plays completely different.
Totally different.
Ours doesn't. You know. But I just find that I just think that's another thing wrong with the sport. Where's the consistency?
Well, yeah, but that's
no. You say it's a huge difference.
No, yeah, but at the same time, it's hell. We don't even play by the same rules week in and week out.
Yeah, well.
I mean. Yeah, and I agree. In a perfect, ideally, yes, absolutely. But to me, it goes back to the fact that I agree the tables should be the same, you know. But at the same time, if you go into a pool room, that's pool, man. I mean, you know this. It's just, what are you going to do?
you're minimizing, and I'm not trying to
No,
say
I
to
mean,
cancel the tournament.
but yeah.
That's
So
such
what
an
do you
extreme
do?
Difference.
So what do you do? How do you fix it?
I don't know. I put
If
old
you have
houses
if you
stickers
have
on the
if
table.
you, well,
You know, I mean, I just don't think that straight pool.
you got a 48-person tournament.
I know.
I mean, you got a 48-man tournament.
It's sad.
What are you going to do? You're not going to bring in 6 new tables. You got 48 guys. I mean, that's a good weekly tournament somewhere. I mean, granted, they're some of the best players in the world, but it's 48 guys.
And it's in the heart of straight pool world. I mean, it's right. If you can't make a tournament happen in New York, you can't make it happen anywhere. So, I mean, all I can say is everybody convinced me, without saying a word,
Not to
go
do
to
straight
8-ball.
pool. Yeah, I think
And
8-ball is the
apologize.
move.
I apologize. I love straight pool. Straight pool is the best game. And I'll tell you what, if you play 100 games of pool, the guy that plays good straight pool, all things being equal, will win. Especially playing 8-ball. He knows how to break out clusters. He knows how this. No, it's just straight pool is the basis of pool.
No, I mean, I'm not disagreeing.
Anyhow.
I just think straight pool gets a whole lot of good publicity until people, this is the way I look at it. If people won't buy it, I don't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
It can be the best game in the world, but if people won't buy it, go play the best game in the world in your basement.
I have to agree with you.
Because
because unfortunately we can't. We're trying to not do that much
you
charity work anymore.
You can't shove something down people's throats.
No, you let the marketplace decide.
You got to give them what they want.
So.
And to me, 8-ball makes so much more sense.
Well,
and
particularly,
8-ball is a great game in itself.
Look at the response.
Yeah.
The monsters get. Now our tables are just standard old, big pocket, 4.5-inch monster pockets, which 5 years ago people screamed they were too tight or 10.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
The first tight event.
Well, now I used to play on diamonds at Chalkies. They were like the old pro.
Yeah, and those were tougher.
And they were cut funny or something. They were tougher than this.
They were, because the A was a 141 instead of a 140. It's not much difference. But I will tell you that Bob Bebb, very good friend of mine out of Fresno, California, made Rebco tables. And anybody that used to go to the Sands remembers the Rebco tables, because they did them for like 10 years. The first year he showed up with a 4.5-inch pocket, they screamed that the tables were too tight.
Yeah.
Literally wanted to lynch him.
Yeah.
Now they're the standard.
Sure.
It's just.
Well, and that's the other thing that I always get a kick out of is, we always hear pro players saying, we need tighter, we need 4-inch pockets.
Yeah.
Want 4-inch pockets, want 4-inch pockets. And then, I mean, it's happened almost every guy that's come and played on this table.
They walk up. First off, they walk up and put 2 balls in.
And then after they play on it a while, it's like, because I can tell you right now, this table's had Shane talking to himself.
It's starting to tighten up. See, it's got a little bit. It doesn't have a lot of wear.
And
100 hours
but after, to a man, most of them said the way this table plays, not just saying this table's so fantastic, but just the way it plays, with the level of difficulty, to a man, all of them say this is what they like.
Well,
even the ones who haven't fared well with it have said, I think this is how it should be.
Well, all I can say is we've had some pretty good players that really mumbled. Ask Raj how he likes this table.
Yeah.
I mean, holy.
Well, Raj is a field player, he's a rhythm player, street player.
And you can't get away with that stuff on something that spits balls out. So it's tough. So I agree with you. For gambling matches particularly, this is the pocket size.
Yeah.
For tournaments,
no.
Now,
Take
unless you're doing a 4-table tournament with 16 invited players,
right?
Different ball game. But all our events that I just mentioned that we're doing in July at the Rio are all the standard 4 and 9/16, 4.5 diamonds.
But I think that's a great decision. I think the U.S. Open 8-ball will be a cool tournament.
You were there. It was one of our, when you were really getting into the streaming down at the Golden Nugget. We had the National Championship Series.
Right. That was a great tournament.
It was a great concept. And what happened is we started getting the titles, U.S. Open, and they started bumping into each other. How can you have a U.S. Open 8-ball and a National Championship 8-ball? Well, what's the difference? So, really, the difference was, the structure was that through the National Championship Series, and we did 8-ball, 9-ball, 10-ball, straight pool.
Whatever happened, how was that event for the Nugget, the relationship with the Nugget? Were they happy or no?
It was
or
fine.
there...
Yeah, it was okay. There was no problems, but they gave away our dates. They got sideways, and we have to have it, and they wanted to do it in, I don't know, February or then. No. We had to do it. I can't remember. We did it Labor Day weekend, didn't we?
I don't remember. I really don't remember. I remember I really liked that place, though. It was a beautiful room.
And they had great internet.
Great internet, beautiful room.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
And we did, and you know, we were averaging, which at the time we'd hit 600-800 viewers on a little, and that was pretty impressive because they all the time.
Yeah, no, that was
a fun event.
I would love to be able to put something back in that venue. I don't know what you'd do, but or where you'd get the money for it.
Yeah.
But
well, you can say that you didn't have to take the tables in. Did you see how the tables they had to go out
no,
that
I
door?
got my thumb crushed taking one of those tables.
I mean, it was
out.
crazy. They had a great venue and everything like that, but you had to go out this door and up 3 steps, turn a 90, and go down an alley. We had to push
I'll
the
never
tables.
forget it.
We had to
That's
push the tables 100 feet.
That's one of the reasons why you'll never see me push another pool table. Because I forget who it was, but they were like
really
here. But what happened? You know the carts.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I went like this, and I made the mistake of.
Oh yeah.
So the cart wasn't pushed all the way in.
Yeah.
So, like this.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like I leaned all my weight, stuck this between the pool table and a piece of iron, and just crushed the shit out of it. Yeah. No.
But I remember that event. That was a beautiful room. You're
Too
right.
old for that shit.
Yeah, I hear you. So I can say that the last 2 months, I think pool's stock has increased a little bit.
Well, I tell you what, everybody talks about how bad it is, but you look around, there's a hell of a lot going on. There's been something every weekend since May.
Yeah.
Every week there's been something, big shit too.
Yeah, some of it is. Well, you start, just like you said, wait a minute, how many people are you going to
have? And this is summertime.
You have 64 people show up at $500 entry fee, that's $32,000.
Yeah.
Plus an added money or something.
Well, I'm a firm believer we need to pay. I think if you win, it should matter. I mean, if you win or place second, it should matter to where, at least you don't got to sweat nothing for the next month or two.
Yeah.
And so to me, that means poker payouts. Pay 10%.
That's pretty strong. We tried that just to let you little.
But did you try it with the pros?
No. We when we were asked by Diamond to do the amateur events at Tunica, we thought we'd be the only entity there, other than on the first weekend and everything. And then the second weekend, we knew that APA was going to be there, which they had a terrible turnout. So we said, well, how are we going to get people to Mississippi, and we don't hardly have any league structure there or anything. So we says, well, we're just going to do a singles, no teams, and we'll say, based on 64 players, $3,000 first prize. But then Diamond catered to whatever. Napa had a league. So we had 2 amateur things, almost the same thing going on at once, chopped up the people. So now we got everybody pissed off at us because we didn't play 8 places. And I says, well, yeah, look at the poster. It's a $40 entry fee.
Right.
3,000.
Did you pay $3,000 for first?
No, based on 64. No, we allocated out. I think in the 8 ball, first place got $2,200. We paid 3 places. Yeah. I added $1,300.
How many players?
44, 48, something like that.
Really? That's still pretty good to me, it sounds like.
Well, me too. But we'd have had, if you combine...
You have 48 players at a $40 entry fee and $2,200 for first and paid 8 places? How many
3 places?
3 places.
2 or 3, I don't know. But we had a lot of people saying, well, wait a minute, you always pay down a quarter of the field. I says, I can't do that when it's advertised with all... We tried. It was a new thing. We tried putting all the money up front in the top, you look at, it works for Alan Hopkins, but he's got 30 million people there. And everybody can say, yeah, but he's been doing it for 20 years. But yeah, he started with that too.
Yeah.
His first year, I believe, was $5,000. And one guy was not happy. I says, well, it's no different than Alan Hopkins. Oh, yes, it is. I've been to Alan Hopkins. I says, okay, how many people did he play? Mm-hmm. And he paid 48 on 1,000, under 5%.
Yeah.
We paid 3 on 48.
Right.
So I don't know, but it's really hard to keep everybody happy.
You can't. It's impossible.
And especially when you're dealing with amateurs because, that's a master player. He's a road player. Why is it when somebody beats a good player, they're a master player? How about they had a good day? How about, now some of them, granted, are trying to fly under the radar.
I don't know how you do it, man.
Man, do people say, oh, that guy's just too good. I says, really? I just watched him whiff a ball.
I don't know how you do it.
I know, but it's...
I don't know how you do it.
It's I'll tell you what it is. It's in the last 20 years, this country has become obsessed with spots and handicaps. Yeah. What do I get? How about you get experience if I beat you?
Yeah.
How about you get my money if you beat me?
Yeah.
What happened to that? It's really frustrating because I've never been a great player. Well, I can step it up and mix it up when I used to play. all you can do is when you play, if you have confidence in your ability, you know you're not going to run 100 balls or 8 racks, but you know that you're not going to dog a shot that you're supposed to make. That's what, if your speed shows up, you should be able to match up and get along.
Yeah.
And it's a little mind-blowing to me, and it's very frustrating because this handicap mentality is killing the sport.
You know, that's one of the reasons I don't. You know, we started the action report. It was action. That's what all it was, and it wasn't long, a year or two maybe, and to where now, you know, you'd probably have to pay me to go in to some kind of action room and spend time there, because it's just. It's mind-boggling.
Well, you can't.
No, because what happens
at the
is
last minute.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, 9 times out of 10, it's a bunch of guys sitting around who don't have any money anyway, talking a whole bunch of shit about something that's never going to happen, and it's just, you know, every once in a while, like Tunica, Derby City, you get real gamblers. You get guys that are willing to come down there, you know, and you know, they still want to try to get the best of it. But at least if they get a game, they will play.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's a 95% of pool, nobody's ever going to play anyway. Yeah. But they want to talk about it forever and ever. And to me, that's just, I'm an impatient person, and it makes me scream.
Well.
But so, and I think it hurts. I think it hurts. It hurts pool from the standpoint that it runs people off that do have money. Because, you know, I've seen guys come in. Perfect example. These poker players, they'll 25,000. Here's a chip. Let's go play.
Yeah.
But, you know, if some guy needles them for 2 hours.
Oh yeah, and jockeying and making the game before. Yeah. That's why
I'm gonna go over here and play some. You know, take this $100 grand. I'm gonna go sit down and play some poker or shoot some dice.
Yeah.
They don't yell at me over there.
Yeah.
You know.
No. And now that's really interesting because. There were a couple poker players there. I don't even know their names. One was traveling, Mitch Ellerman's friend. And we know who knows how this is all going to happen, but our tournament at the Rio is immediately after the World Series of Poker.
Yeah.
As they're moving out the last tables, we're setting
Well,
up.
you know, I mean,
we're
starting to see
interesting synergy.
We're starting to see some more, you know, like at the U.S. Open One Pocket, you know, Nikki Schulman and Hennigan, Cornflakes was there, and you know, I don't know if he still is or not, but for a while, Oscar and Nick Schulman had a good relationship there, and Nick was backing him. And so, you know, it's seeing, you know, those are the kind of guys around pool. It's good for pool, you know. I mean,
well, you know, I mean, the Dippies of the world created a lot of action, but he got really strange.
Yeah, and, I don't. You know.
I know. I'm not saying happy. I'm not. I'm just. But he kind of. You know, like they call Perico the first Filipino, and Dippy did create some real serious action. It was just funny action. But poker players, you know, poker players are good for pool.
Absolutely.
Normally.
Yeah. And to me, I think, you know, as long as you know, to me, I love seeing guys like Oscar get involved with guys like.
Yeah, well, because he's a straight up guy.
Exactly.
Oscar, this, you know, and another thing to say on Dennis Orculo's behalf, there was a thread on there, and they're saying blah, blah, blah. And 2 or 3 times people have seen people try to do business with him, and he said no. Like one of them was like maybe in a world tournament or something, and, you know, there's something, and he said no, and he lost the match. Doesn't make any difference. And see, that's my type of guy.
Yeah, I agree.
And this
the
no
attitude,
business, yeah.
To me, that attitude, you know, you give me a guy who wants to win, you know, I don't care if it's 10,000 for first and 1,000 for second. You know, give me the guy that says no, because when I win, I want all the money.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Earl.
What,
and that's Earl's Earl. Shane.
You can't take that
yeah.
away.
And it's unfortunate the rest of the screws aren't tight sometimes. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and
but,
I get all the arguments and all that stuff, but you know, I don't know. I hate to delve into the same thing we always end up talking about.
Well, listen, but it's not a gloom and doom. This is pretty exciting. Something we probably should talk about. Last time when we did TAR 28, which was Schmitty and Corey, we had made an offer. And listen, folks, we haven't even really discussed this all the way. But we had we offered it free to some pool rooms. I think we had like 35 pool rooms.
No, more than that.
Well, that actually followed through.
No, it was more than that.
Really?
Yeah, it was almost.
We had 60 at one time
that
were
50 rooms at least.
Yeah.
because I remember I sent out probably 15 passwords the day up.
Yeah. Okay.
Because people going, oh, I just found out about it.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Well,
No, I sent out about 50 passwords. You know, how many? I didn't ever go back and look to see if any of them weren't used or not.
Well, what we're really trying to do is we need to increase the base of our viewership, and that was to introduce people to the concept. We're not offering it free this time. I'm sure we have discussed it. There's a couple of rooms that Justin doesn't even know about that I want because I offered it. I told him they would because I think it's good for us. But
what?
Why?
No, what? What are you talking about?
Oh, that we're going to give a free stream to a couple of pocket rooms. I mean, I think it's good for us with league players and whatever and everything else. But probably my biggest bitch is we ask for very simple information. Give us your name, your address, and give us a picture of the people watching it. What'd you get, 3 responses?
No, I mean, we got the information.
You know, it's just,
I made them give me the information on the room before I gave them the password.
We're trying to help Pool. Help us help you.
Yeah, but I was really kind of disappointed in the response afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see giving it to the rooms and all that, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, it costs us bandwidth. I know it costs us a few buys.
Sure.
So.
But we're still, if somebody, you know, if you're interested in being involved, contact us. But I'm not saying we're going to give it away free. We have to come up with a way of getting it to the people in a more efficient method.
Here's the flip side of that. You know, it doesn't do us any good to give it away if it doesn't increase our buy rate.
Correct.
I mean, that's silly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the whole point of giving it away is so more people buy it because they find out about it.
Yeah.
Now, we won't know if the last one worked until this one.
Sure, but this is
Right.
that other one was an A, and this is like a double A or a triple A. It just, you know, so.
But so as far as giving it away to rooms, I mean, I'm with Mark, and I'm inclined to say no.
I'd like to. We're going to come up with a concept for a commercial room. I don't know if it's.
Now he's had this idea forever that, you know, we could do something and a pool room's going to pay us $100, and in return we mention them or give them a poster or something.
Well, yeah, we mentioned them as an official site to watch it and this and that.
I don't ever see it happening.
I don't know.
Never. It's so against everything that goes with a pool mentality.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you with that.
It's just so against it that I
but
just
in theory,
you might get, you know, a couple of guys that know us might do it.
In theory, pool rooms and bars are running a business. You'd think they'd run things in a business like fashion. You know, if all of a sudden they can buy this stream that for $100 and they can sell $300 worth of liquor and keep people busy and it makes them the happening spot, that's an investment.
I agree, but then again, a lot of pool rooms won't even promote their own business.
I know.
They're not going to promote ours.
It's pretty sad.
So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, if we could, one way we could give it, if we had a $2,000 sponsor, we could give away to every pool room on earth. Be fine with it.
I wouldn't say 2,000, but you're
no, 2,000 would get it. Absolutely would get it. If we had a $2,000 sponsor, why couldn't you?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but you're also forgetting that now a guy's not going to buy it at home. He's going to go to the pool and watch
I'm going off the last event.
Yeah.
If we would have had a $2,000 sponsor on the last event, we're okay.
Well,
nothing's ever good enough for him.
Oh, no, that's not true. I think the bar's too low.
No, well,
because you still have the bandwidth costs, and you got all these other variables.
I'm just talking about to get it out. Pool rooms free without getting beaten the teeth.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, nobody's going to give us $5,000. Forget it.
Well, no, I agree with you.
$2,000, I think, is doable.
Yeah, it might be.
So that's my point. Is, you know, we can sit here and talk about what would be great to have forever, but I'm talking about something that's possible, and in return to do that, you know, I mean, for $2,000 to put out, you know, or if you want to, you know, a multiple match deal, or even a year-long deal.
Yeah. There's an answer, you know, but right now we need everybody to tell their friends about TAR, whether they buy or not. Have you seen TAR? What's TAR?
Well, that's one thing I started.
We need to start.
I'm switching over because I've read my personal Facebook page is the TAR page for a long time, and I just started a new TAR Facebook page, which is basically a business page. We've already got 400 likes on it, and I'm going to start.
Because with Facebook rules, you can't. You
No,
cap
just
out at 5,000 if you're.
5,000.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to, you know, I want a place where people who don't know me, don't know you,
Yeah.
you know, don't know who the hell we are.
Yeah.
I don't want them to say, here, go to this is
Yeah.
the TAR Facebook page,
Yeah.
and it's what I had for lunch today.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
you know, we need them to go to a TAR page.
I agree.
So,
I just think we're so close to where we have a sustainable model. We are getting closer.
no, I
And
agree.
this type of format is enhancing it, and this type of the next players are awesome, and the next match begs for Darren to play the winner.
Yeah.
The problem being is sometimes we can't do that because Dennis Orculo is here like once a year now,
Right.
so we can play Shane. That'd be a great match too. So either
I
way,
don't think you're going to want. We got to be careful with people.
well,
who
that's
get
true
Shane
too.
Burnout.
I totally agree. But
You know who should play next?
tell me,
Darren and Alex.
good match.
Darren
By the way, Alex, the shortest guy in the field, played better on the 10-footers without a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his like 3-foot acoustic sticking out past his hand.
Right.
You know, you can't figure the guy out. The guy
Play
is.
snooker. What's he care
I know,
about
I
a
know,
10-foot table?
I know. He is so amazing.
Yeah.
If he would actually play pool for 2 years, I think he'd beat the world.
I think he can. I mean, he's but
I know.
Alex has.
Yes.
It's not like he's never played pool for 2 years.
Oh, I know.
I mean-
I mean, if he just dedicated him, if he had Shane's work ethic, blah 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 blah. But that's Anyhow, TAR 29, 17th, 18th, and 19th. You've got the prices and all the information is up on the TAR
There's
website.
Seats available. We've sold pretty good. I mean, not a pretty good amount, but the response has been. We've had a lot of people interested.
Yep.
We've sold a few seats, but
And I talked to a couple people out and about and say, well, we're going to be in town. I didn't realize, but this is the APA weekend. It was not designed to be the APA weekend.
right.
But the APA team event is here. So there will be a lot of pool players in town. So
Yeah.
and some of them
I've
are
had
pretty
a couple
knowledgeable.
people say I'm being for the APA.
Yeah.
When can I come in and get a seat or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah.
But the way the seats work is they're all on our website, and there's a limited amount, and that's what's available. So if you try to go, if you worry, like I had one guy send me an email say, if I buy 3 seats, am I going to get 3 seats? And yes,
Yeah.
we don't oversell.
It only holds 12 people or so. I mean, it's very small, intimate, and the furthest seat is
maybe 10.
10 feet from the table. I'm looking at it. It's so it's
It's
not
a cool.
like
It's a real cool way to
it's
watch.
like playing. And I had somebody say, somebody says, "You mean you guys got a place?" Yeah, I said it's a TAR studio. He says, "Oh, I just thought that was some rich dude's house in Vegas." That's exactly what it says. No. It's a real live studio.
That's funny. But so if you're going to be in Vegas, or if you want to come out to Vegas,
Yeah.
it's a good weekend. It would be a fun trip. You fly out here on you can get in here Friday. We start every day at 4
Pacific time, 4.
Pacific time, Vegas time, and we'll go for 3 days. And ideally, the way the matches have been running, we're looking 4 or 5 hours.
4 to
a
5
day.
hours.
And so
Which
we
is
start
perfect.
We start at 4. You're out in time to go have dinner and do whatever you got to do
Yeah.
at night. It's
No,
perfect.
it is. It's very nice. So
And it's it's easy on the fans. It's easy on the players. We can live with it. It's nice not to sit, not to after 2 days of pool, come in here and know you're going to have to fade 9 more hours of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's in all likelihood the referee will be Bill Stock, so you can meet and talk with
we
him.
are
I'm
gonna
here.
run- We are
and,
going to run a shot clock,
yep.
even in the one pocket. We've
Yeah.
got to figure that out.
yeah.
I think 40 seconds. What do you think?
For a normal shot, fine. You can have like an extension.
For one pocket, how many? You need more than one extension in a
Probably.
one pocket game. I'm thinking 3.
Here's what I would do. This is going to sound really crazy.
Of course. Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. I can live with a 40-second shot clock, and you get 3 extensions, and you can use them all in one shot if you want to. You get
Okay.
3 extensions
That's fine.
for a game.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Because you might be really in a trap.
Sure. I agree.
Because it's we need to really. That's not saying that's what it is. We need to give some thought to and ask a couple of people. Call Billy and ask him. Just say because he's going to
Yeah.
give you an honest answer.
Right. Well, we'll do. That's a good topic for a thread. What's a
Yeah.
one pocket shot clock?
Yeah.
And we'll get some input.
Yeah.
Because we need it, and 8-ball too.
Well, look at we saw Alex, who's not normally a slow player, but I remember there was one time he was taking like 4 or 5 minutes a shot. It was
Terrible.
terrible.
And,
And I just think I agree.
Everybody's always talked about it, and we just need to do it. I mean, we've got, in my opinion, the best referee out there in Bill Stock. He's right here.
When you got Kenny, he's not too shabby.
I don't like having Kenny run in and out.
I agree.
To make
that's not right. I agree.
But Kenny will be here doing commentary as well. But I like the idea of having a guy out here.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the way you run the shot clock is, simply, boom. When the ball stops moving, he hits the button. At 10 seconds, you can say 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Unless the guy's down on the ball. If the guy's down on the ball, he can stay there.
I think you're probably still supposed to call 10 seconds.
I don't think so. Not if a guy's down on the ball.
Because, I'm going to disagree, because if he doesn't know he's at that time and he stands back up.
The other thing is we can have this set up with a shot clock program.
Well, we have several shot clock programs.
Yeah, Bill can sit there and hit the button on a computer.
That's what I think he's supposed to do.
And the way I look at it,
and you can do it wireless or that, and it just does it by itself.
And it's the player's responsibility to know the situation.
Correct.
So if we have a board, I don't think we call 10 seconds. I don't. Because to me, that's distracting. It's distracting for everyone.
It can be, but you have to let the player know he can't stand back up again.
Right, absolutely. No,
that's why you have to say 10 when he's down. That's
I don't know. See, if you've got it to where they can see it, then, in my opinion, you make it as unobtrusive as possible.
You don't want the Mosconi Cup?
Me. No, I don't.
It just makes them jump straight up in the air.
And the thing of it is, the guys at the first, the guy will probably get burned on it.
Yeah.
After a while,
they'll get the hang of it.
It's
just the
every shot, shot clocks in basketball.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason.
You don't hear a big horn when it's 10 seconds.
No, but there's a good reason, and especially in our tournaments. And I know we got a lot of steam that one year where we used I call it the IPT rule.
I like that.
So do I. It makes perfect sense. If you're not at a certain point, at a third of the way through the match, you're not playing to 9 anymore. You're playing to 8. So you add a bead to each person's score.
Sure, I like it.
And we got reamed out. I said, it's real simple.
So finish your match.
Yeah, play your match, because if you run, we were giving them 2 hours for a race to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these guys would take forever, up and down, up and down. And, if you don't enforce those rules, now your 3 o'clock match starts at 4 o'clock. That's not fair to anybody else.
Not only that, but now your 9 o'clock match starts at 11:30.
Yeah, no. Once you let that stuff start, and it's not going to happen on our watch or on our stopwatch.
Uh-oh.
Yeah? Uh-oh what? It's time to go?
Looks like, check. My mic just went out.
Well, your mic just went out. Well, it's time to go.
Okay.
Really, we should wrap up. You got a problem? Justin says good night. His mic went dead. And Tar 29, 17th, 18th, and 19th. And we'll see you all probably next Thursday for a podcast. Okay, and he said thumbs up. So good night. Thank you.